going to be a review for Bad Lieutenant, an Abel Ferrara directed movie starring Harvey Keitel. So this was remade with Nicolas Cage. It's a pretty different movie. Now, Keitel plays a New York City police detective with a serious drug and gambling addiction, tries to change his ways and find forgiveness and redemption. Well, at the very end, I guess. So, I mean, this movie is very messed up. Um, it revolves around a young nun's rape by these two guys, and they're trying to find out who did it. And there's a $50,000 reward, I think. And Keitel gives an amazing performance. Um, Literally lets it all hang out, and it's a very messed up movie. I mean, he does like every drug under the sun in this movie. It seems like he's constantly drinking, doing a lot of coke, doing just smoking anything he can, smoking cigarettes, smoking whatever drug he can get his hands on. He's constantly drinking. And really, it's like he does almost no police work in the movie. Um, but it's a shocking movie. I guess you could say I enjoyed it, but it's not really a movie you really enjoy. You're just kind of uh, fascinated by Keitel's performance, I'd say. And I think Abel Ferreira again does a, good job directing. Because I just watched um, the Body Snatchers. That was the first time I've seen that. I've seen this a long time ago. Um, but yeah, I really like Abel Ferrara. I think he's a good, gritty, very gritty director. And the remake takes place in New Orleans. This is in New York City, and I think this is a better setting. I mean, I like the remake too, but I think this is better. It's grittier. There's a religious theme in this, which I don't think is in the remake, if I remember correctly. I mean, there's a scene in this movie when Harvey Keitel pulls over these two girls. He says their tail lights out. Who knows if that's even true? And he basically just tells the girl um to act like she's performing a sex act on him. Acts like she's giving him a blowjob, and while the other girl shows off her ass, and then he on the side of the street uh let's say pleasures himself to them, and then finishes and then just walks away. I mean, this pretty this guy's like a total degenerate, and he has power because he's a police officer. Yeah, does almost no police work in it. He keeps losing money because he keeps betting on the Dodgers throughout the whole movie. I think he starts at 15,000, and then he loses, and he's like, "We'll double it," and then he loses again. He doubles it again. He loses that, so he owes 60K, and they're in the World Series, I think, against the Mets. And then in the end, he doubles that again, and well, spoilers, but it leads to his death. There's a pretty hilarious scene when he's in his car and he's listening to the radio about the Dodgers and they're losing, and then they get scored on, and he pulls his gun out and he shoots his radio. So thought that scene was hilarious. There's a scene when he's in a church and he's talking to the nun who, and um he, he he and then she says that she forgives the guys that did that to her, and then he's like shocked that she forgave him, and then I think it's this scene, and then he like turns around and Jesus is there, and then he starts like crying and begging forgiveness because he's like, I've done so many bad things. So yeah, there's literally a scene when Jesus appears to him in a church, which I think a lot of that's not in the remake. I mean, if you can call it a remake, because I mean, it's a very different movie, but that whole central theme of him being a gambling addict, and I think it leads to his death in that one too, and he's a drug addict too, and an alcoholic, um, is all there. Nicolas Cage does a pretty good job, but I don't know. I think this fits better because of the New York setting, Abel Ferrara's direction, especially in Harvey Keitel. Now, when it came out, it got an NC-17 rating, so it's pretty incredible that they even would do this movie. Because yeah, that I mean, that's like a death sentence, for box office. So, and also for awards contention too, which I don't think it got any awards. Let me see. At least Oscars. And then I got International Fantasy Film Award, Best Actor, nominee, Best Film, Ava Ferrara. So, so this is in the trivia. Like many indie-minded directors of low-budget films, Ferrara didn't bother with permits. Most of the time, we weren't permitted on any of this stuff. We just walked in and started shooting. For the scene in which the strung-out lieutenant walks through a nightclub, they sent Harvey Keitel through an actual club. Part of the plot was inspired by the real-life assault of two nuns in New York City. Just like in the film, rumors circulated of a cash reward being put out for the capture. The detective who caught Bo Dietl played a detective in this film, now a best-selling author. Roger Ebert wrote in his Roger Ebert gave it 4 out of 4 stars. According to Ferrara, the film was originally supposed to be funny. It was always in my mind a comedy. He cited the scene where the lieutenant pulls the teenage girls over, which I mentioned, as a specific example of how Christopher Walken would have played it, and how Harvey Keitel changed it. Oh, so Walken was maybe going to be in it. And yeah, he worked with Walken in King of New York, which is another movie I like. The lieutenant was going to end up dancing in the streets with the girls. As the sun came up, they'd be wearing his gun belt and hat. They'd have the radio on, you know what I mean? But oh my God, Harvey, he turned it into a whole other thing. Oh wow, he definitely did. Harvey Keitel stayed in character on set throughout the production. Wow. Yeah, Harvey Keitel's a really good actor. Early Scorsese movies, he's in a lot of them. Reservoir Dogs, obviously. Uh, just whenever I see him in a movie, I always, pay attention to his performance. Zoe Lund plays the character who uses drugs with the lieutenant in her apartment. Though Zoe Lund was an enthusiastic heroin advocate in real life, according to her husband, she died of heart failure in 1999, reportedly related to lung infection from excessive cocaine use and delayed medical care. Yeah, that'll do it. The first time Harvey Keitel read the script, he threw it after 15 pages, arguing it was a piece of junk. When he started reading it again, he read the scenes with the nuns scenes, and was so captivated by her story that he understood the movie would be a unique experience. Martin Scorsese has called this one of his 10 favorite films in the 90s. I think Ferrera probably is influenced by Scorsese a little bit. The script had been written in 2 weeks. The film was shot in 18 days. Wow. That's so quick. That's crazy. Abel Ferrara admitted in a 2012 interview that he was using drugs during the making of the film. The director of the film needed to be using the director and writer, not the actors. Okay. Abel Ferrara's fury of when Werner Herzog directed Bad Lieutenant Port of Call, New Orleans. He said, as far as remakes go, I wish these people die in hell. I hope they're all in the same streetcar and it blows up. Herzog's film was neither a remake nor a sequel to this movie. Yeah, I mean, it kind of is a remake in some ways. I mean, it's not a bad movie. It's but it doesn't have the same title, Bad Lieutenant, and it's like New Orleans cop instead of New York City. But wow, so he was really angry. I mean, it could have been really bad. At least Werner Herzog is, pretty good director, so co-writer Zoe Lund plays the woman. Oh, so she was a co-writer on it. Okay. The lieutenant's daughter is played by Stella Keitel, Harvey Keitel's daughter. Blockbuster Video refused to stock the film because of the NC-17 rating. An R-rated cut was created so that the film could be rented from the chain. Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, and the end kind of confuses me a little bit because I think in the end it's like he gets this money, like he owes all this money, and then he goes to this guy's house, I think that owes him money, and he gives him a box full of cash, and I don't know how much is in there, 10, 20,000 maybe, and he then goes and finds the guys who did that to the nun, and it seems like he knew where they were the whole time, and then he handcuffs them, does some drugs with them, of course, and then um takes them to the bus station and then puts them on the bus, undoes their handcuffs, gives them the cash, and says, get out of the city. And this is after he's like fascinated that the nun forgave them for what they did to her. And it's like, well, she is a nun. But I guess it's like Harvey Keitel trying to forgive them also for what they did and giving them a second chance. But like these guys are dirtbags. Like they're like living in like a shanty junked out house with other junkies doing drugs. I think they're actually watching the Dodgers game, the game that he's about to lose another 60K on. So I think he owes about 120K at the end of the movie. And then he lets them go and gives them the money. So I'm like, I think that the movie's saying that he's like learning from the nun and from Jesus to forgive them, which is all well and good. But probably the nun's like, well, I forgive them, but they should still be prosecuted because these are dangerous people that shouldn't be on the streets, you know? So, but I think that's what the movie's saying at the end. Because I forgot the ending and I was just like, wow, what the but yeah, this is definitely this is not a movie that they even make anymore. But I think it's the setting that I think is really powerful in this movie too, because it's so gritty. The New York City, like the streets, New York doesn't even look the same now. So, but yeah, it's Premiere voted this movie 25 of the most dangerous movies. Wow. Lund actually injects heroin on screen in this movie. She later died of a drug overdose in 99. This was one of two films released in 1992 that starred Harvey Keitel and featured the sisterhood. The other film being Sister Act. Yeah, I forgot he was in that. Keitel was also in Sister Act the same year, where he played a crime boss pursuing a woman posing as a nun. Here he plays a cop trying to help a nun. According to an interview with Abel Ferrara, Christopher Walken refused to make the film because of the scene in which the lieutenant is confronted by a vision of Jesus Christ in the church. Ferrara elaborated, he wrote to me, Jesus Christ is an overused literary device. That's when I knew he wasn't right for the part with an attitude like that. Yeah, because I think it makes the whole ending make sense. Then I mean, the nun forgiving and Jesus Christ, also. So no, I think Keitel's perfect for it. I mean, Walken's great in King of New York. But I mean, this is like a whole nother level of debauchery. I mean, it's just crazy the amount of drugs and how much drinking he does in this. So yeah, Harvey Keitel appeared in Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. But yeah, Roger Ebert really liked it. He gave it 4 out of 4 stars. Siskel and Ebert both liked it. Basically, they're like, it's all about his performance. They're like, it's a really messed up movie. They're like, we didn't really enjoy it, but it's kind of it shows you human debauchery on a whole other level. So, Bad Lieutenant tells the story of a man who is not comfortable inside his body or soul. He walks around filled with need and dread. He is in the last stages of cocaine addiction, gulping booze to level off the drug high. His life is such a loveless hell that he buys sex just for the sensation of someone touching him, and his attention drifts even then because there are so many demons pursuing him. Harvey Keitel plays this man with such uncompromised honesty that the performance can only be called courageous. Not many actors would want to be seen in this light. Yeah, you do got to give Keitel props for that. The lieutenant has no illusions about himself. He is bad and knows he is bad, and he abuses the power of his position on every way he can. Interrupting a grocery store stick up, he sends the B cops away and then steals the money from the thieves. Yeah, and then he also pulls his gun out and then almost kills one of them and shoots, like barely missing them. And then yeah, he tails the cop to go write this up with the grocery store owner, and then he's like, give me I think it's $500 they stole, and then he takes it and uses it to buy drugs. I think he sends the beat cop away and steals the money. He sells drug dealers their immunity by taking drugs from them. Yeah, and then in one scene, I mean, this guy is like shameless. There's like a car, thinks someone was killed inside of it. He gets a tip that there's drugs in the back seat, like behind the seat. And there's all these cops everywhere. There's all these people on the side of the road. He then goes in the car, rips out the back seat, puts like I think it's cocaine in his jacket, and then he's gonna walk away with it, but it drops out of his jacket. And then all the cops are just looking at him, and he's like, "Well, write it up. There's drugs in the car." Like it's so obvious, like what he's doing. It's like I don't know. What like you would hope a cop would not get away with anything like this, but who knows? Remember the Ray Liotta character in the last sequence of Scorsese's Goodfellas, when he is strung out on cocaine and paranoid that the cops are following him. His life speeds up. His thinking is frantic. He can't run, but he can run, but he can't hide. The Keitel character is in Bad Lieutenant is like that other character. Many more agonizing months down the road, life cannot go on like this much longer. The film has an NC-17 rating for adults only. That is appropriate, but it is not a dirty movie, and in fact takes spirituality and morality more seriously than most films do. And in The Bad Lieutenant, Keitel has given us one of the great screen performances in recent years. Keitel starred in Scorsese's first film and spent the last 25 years taking more chances with scripts and directors than any other major actor. I agree with that. He has the, I mean, maybe, you know, Jack Nicholson. He has the nerve to tackle roles like this that other actors, even those with street images, would shy away from. He bears everything here, his body, yes, but also his weaknesses, his hungers. It's performance given without reservation. In fact, does Harvey Keitel have an Academy Award? Let's see. Um, so he was nominated for Bugsy, Best Actor in a Supporting Role. That's it? Really? It's only been nominated once? Wow. That's kind of shocking. He's only been nominated once for Bugsy. Wow. Okay. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, check it out. I mean, I honestly don't think the plot matters that much in this movie. It's about his performance. So even though I've just spoiled a lot of it, but I don't think you can really spoil it because I think it's his performance and just the shock value of it. But yeah, maybe I'll continue to watch some Abel Ferrara movies. I mean, he even continues directing to this day. I haven't seen a lot of his newer stuff, but apparently, Miss 45, Fear City. He directed some Miami Vice. So Miss 45 is oh wow, this movie's messed up, man. Abel Ferrara, man. New York City. So Fear City, Tom Berenger, Billy D. Williams. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll try and find those movies, see if they're on like Netflix or something. But yeah, that's about it. Check it out. Bad Lieutenant, Abel Ferrara, and a great performance by Keitel. If not very dark and shocking, but yeah. And if you could do me a favor and smash that like button, that'd be great. It really helps the channel. And I'll see you next time.